This podcast is brought to you by Reynolds & Reynolds, the industry leader in automotive technology. Learn how Spark AI, Reynolds' unified AI data layer, can help you unlock your full potential by visiting rey.com/spark-AI. That's rey.com/spark-AI.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Friday, July 18th, 2025. I'm Jamie Butters, Executive Editor of Automotive News here in Detroit.
And I'm Jake Neer in Detroit, in for Kellen Walker. Today on the show, the U.S. is set to impose more than 90% tariffs on a key EV battery material. NHTSA is shedding more than a quarter of its employees, and Rivian will open an East Coast headquarters. Plus, Don Fretwell of PayNearMe's talks about the growing demand for more convenient repayment options for auto loans.
They're using these types of options with a lot of the other lenders, and so I think they're going to be demanding that everybody kind of gets on board with these new ways to make payments.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry.
The U.S. Commerce Department is imposing preliminary anti-dumping duties of 93.5% on Chinese imports of graphite, a key battery component. The agency concluded that the materials are unfairly subsidized. The new duties will add to existing rates, making the effective tariff 160%. That's according to the trade group American Active Anode Material Producers. The tariff would be a blow to battery manufacturers. Sam Adham, head of battery materials at consultancy CRU Group, says a 160% tariff equates to $7 per kilowatt hour added cost to an average EV battery cell. He tells Bloomberg News, quote, that basically wipes out profits for 1 or 2 entire quarters for the Korean battery makers.
NHTSA is shedding more than 25% of its employees. It's using financial incentive programs offered by the Trump administration to coax workers to depart the government. That's according to data provided to Congress and seen by Reuters. The Auto Safety Agency is shrinking from 772 employees as of May 31st to 555 under the program. The Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration are also both losing more than 25% of their staff.
On yesterday's show, we reported that Volvo Cars had swung to a $1 billion loss in the second quarter amid tariffs. Now it's shedding product offerings in the U.S. to focus on domestically built gasoline-powered crossovers. A Volvo spokesperson says the S90 large sedan assembled in China and the V60 wagon from Europe will no longer be offered in the U.S. starting in the 2026 model year. Back in April, we at Automotive News reported that Volvo would cancel U.S. orders of the S90 next year. The changes leave the V60 Cross Country as the sole non-utility nameplate in Volvo's U.S. portfolio. The raised variant of the V60 wagon will remain for 2026, but the spokesperson declined to comment on its availability beyond that. Last year, Volvo sold about 1,300 S90s and fewer than 1,000 V60s in the U.S.
And Rivian is establishing an East Coast headquarters in Atlanta later this year to support operations at its second electric vehicle plant. The factory is set to begin construction in 2026. It'll make the new R2 and a smaller vehicle, the R3, starting in 2028. Rivian's main headquarters is in Irvine, California, and the EV maker has major software and engineering facilities in Palo Alto, California. And those are today's headlines. So, Jamie, we're now looking at an effective tariff on Chinese graphite of 160%. Can battery makers survive that?
Not very well, because what happens is it's a huge price increase for them on the material that so much of the battery is made out of. Obviously, they're going to have to pass that along to their customers, which is going to make EV batteries more expensive, which is going to make EVs more expensive and make it harder to sell them, which then means there's going to be demand for fewer batteries and less graphite. So it really becomes a vicious cycle on these battery companies. Surely they're hoping that this is something where the big tariffs get put on and maybe the big tariffs come back off.
I got to imagine, though, that if they don't come back off, graphite is one of those industries that's really hard to reshore to somewhere away from China, especially domestically.
Yeah, I think there might be some minerals, some mineable graphite in Canada, but you're talking about a decade or more to start extracting and producing graphite in large quantities, or the artificial graphite is super expensive. So yeah, it's a huge challenge to the industry.
Got it. Coming up, customers are demanding more convenient ways to repay their auto loans. Don Fretwell of PayNearMe joins the show to talk about it next on Daily Drive.
As your business gets more complex, it feels like productivity can't go any higher. You need a way to move forward to a future where you don't have to start every interaction from scratch. You don't have to search for actionable information. You don't have to manually pull data to make decisions. You need a future where the complex is made simple and you can do more with less. How do you get there? It all starts with a spark. Unlock your full potential with the next generation of automotive dealership technology that actually does some of the heavy lifting for you by texting leads, transcribing calls, making data-backed recommendations, and boosting your overall productivity so that you can spend your time and energy on what truly matters: selling cars and growing your business. Spark AI, Reynolds' unified AI data layer, can empower your dealership to operate more efficiently and effectively than ever before, so you can do more, sell more, and make more. To learn how Spark AI can help your dealership reach its full potential, visit rayrey.com/spark-AI today. That's REYREY.com/spark-AI to learn more.
Daily Drive listeners like you have access to the lowest price for Automotive News Congress 2025 on September 11th.
The event is where the industry's biggest players tackle its toughest challenges. Congress attendees don't just follow the industry, they lead it.
This year's featured speakers include Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Yusun Chung and General Motors CEO Mary Barra.
We are investing in America. We're creating jobs. That's creating IP in this country. And I think, the United States needs to lead in key technologies.
Join us to gain the insights and connections needed to steer your business through massive change.
To get the lowest price for the event, go to autonews.com/events, select Auto News Congress, and type in the discount code Daily Drive, one word, all caps. We'll see you in September in Detroit. Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Jamie Butters with Jake Neer. A consumer who takes out an auto loan is faced with years of monthly payments, but how that buyer will make those payments is changing. Dawn Fretwell is Senior Director of Sales at PayNearMe. She spoke with Automotive News Senior Editor Dan Shine about trends that impact the auto lending experience and how lenders can leverage them to create a more tailored payment experience for borrowers.
Dawn, thanks so much for joining me on the F&I Friday edition of Daily Drive.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Your name is popping up everywhere with your YouTube videos and your automotive news podcast. So it looks like I'm kind of hanging with celebrity. I have to be honest.
Flattery will get you everywhere. That's perfect. So I want to talk about, you were kind enough to write a great guest column for us in Automotive News, autonews.com, about just kind of the growing trend, the digitization of auto loan payments. And, I think a lot of in automotive, they like to talk about, meeting the customer where they are. And I think customers are changing the way that they pay bills, especially young folks. So there's not I think you would say there's not really a one size fits all, but kind of, I guess, maybe summarize kind of where you think like we're headed when it comes to auto loans and payments, auto payments, and kind of where that digitization is headed.
Sure. I love that word, digitization. If you try to say that a few times, a little hard. But I'm really excited, to talk about some of the changes that we're seeing in the borrower behavior, especially when it comes to, how people prefer to make their auto loan payments. We at PayNearMe work with a wide range of lenders. And we're really seeing firsthand how important it is to offer, flexible, convenient, and different ways to make payments.
And is it just young folks that are kind of driving this, or are there kind of old fogies like me who are kind of getting on the train about how easy it is to kind of make payments as opposed to writing a check and putting it in the mail, or, a direct deposit kind of thing? So is the young folks kind of driving this train somewhat?
Well, it's definitely the young folks that are interested in change. And it's really a broad base of everybody. So if you think about it, one of the analogies I always like to use is imagine having to use a flip phone, right? And so we know that is just painful, ouch. So we're seeing it kind of amongst the entire customer base. They're sort of demanding that they have more ways to make payments. It's no longer just the younger folks, although they are definitely driving a lot of the change. It is a broad-based group of folks that are interested in it as well.
So in your guest column, you kind of outline kind of 4 trends that are, seeing kind of growth and interest in when it comes to payments of all kind, but it's, also auto loan payments. The first one you mentioned is digital wallet. Is this kind of, we're talking about like Apple Pay? Is that kind of a simple way to say that?
Yes, we have lots of different things. We have Apple Pay, Google Pay, and we also consider PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App part of like a digital wallet.
And lenders can set this up, and so if I could pay my auto loan, my car payment using one of these digital wallet tools.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting that you bring this up. We've done quite a bit of research, and around 59% of borrowers that we surveyed like using a digital wallet, and that is up from 37% a few years ago. So, I kind of reflect on that shift. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty big shift. It does make me wonder, what 2026 and beyond is going to look like.
Right. Yeah. Right. Another one you outlined is kind of referred to as a digitization of cash. Not everybody has a bank account and has a checking account and a savings account. There are people who are the unbanked, as you call them. Explain what digitization of cash means.
Sure. And to your point, we do have some stats. Around 5.6 million people are unbanked. So it's a fairly large population. Some of the lenders that we speak with say, why do I even care about cash payments? And for some of these customers, this is really the only way that they can actually make a payment. So it is sort of one of those things that they have to do. And when we talk about the fancy word, digitizing cash, really what that simply means is we just allow customers, enable a way for them to pay with cash, but within a digital workflow. So I'll give you just a real live example so you can kind of, it'll be a little bit more clear. So we have the ability to send out, for example, a smart link or put a QR code on a statement. And Joe goes to 7-Eleven on a Saturday because he's going to a barbecue. Maybe he's going to buy some pool noodles, and he has his mobile device, and he'll get a smart link, and he can simply take that barcode to the cashier, and he can make a payment with cash towards his lender and his loan. And he can also buy his pool noodles. So it's very convenient. And then one thing that we like to say is why it's digital is there are a lot of operational challenges with trying to handle cash. I mean, you can only imagine, getting $1,200 in a dealership on a Saturday morning. So we'll take the cash, it will automatically be posted back, and in real time, the cash will be reconciled. So it does eliminate a lot of the operational challenges for lenders, and then makes it super convenient for customers as well.
Interesting. This next one fascinated me, I will have to say. That's kind of the GPS integrated, kind of tracking with payment reminders and payment options. Tell us all about that.
Sure. So one of the things we know, according to our research, is about 6.6% of subprime borrowers are 60 days plus past due. And so, and I know the likelihood that they go past due, they're not going to pay. So we have this concept of working with our GPS providers where we can actually send a payment reminder. So if for some reason a vehicle is disabled because they're late and on their payment, the customer will go out and try to, use their car. They can't because it's been disabled. We can trigger a real-time payment reminder message, and instantaneously on their mobile device, they can make a payment, and then they can get back to operations with their vehicle. So it's a kind of a newer way of working closely with customers, but it's a super convenient option that allows everybody to create a win-win solution for everyone.
And no conversation would be complete without talking about AI. It seems AI is in everything, but also AI and for auto loans can help kind of customize payment options for consumers.
Absolutely. So AI is one of the hottest payment trends. And here at PayNearMe, we've been talking about this for quite a bit. We did take the opportunity to go out and meet with a lot of our lenders and get the requirements on how do they see AI, what do they want to use, how do they want to use it. And we've been able to show that, around 80% of respondents do consider using things like pre-populated payment details. So when they go in to make a payment, they already have the information stored there. We also have some cool functionality where if they want to make a cash payment, they can go into their mobile device and it can tell you the closest location within, a 10-mile radius where you can go in and make a payment. And then things that, also kind of come about for AI is just knowing what payment options customers prefer and presenting those payment options to those customers. So a lot of excitement around AI and more to come on that, but definitely we are very interested in moving that forward.
For lenders, is the adoption of these kind of newer tools, are they kind of trying to keep up with demand, or are they still kind of a little bit behind on this and not really adopting the kind of these new tools that can kind of that consumers want?
Yes, I would say about 20% of our lenders that we work with today are utilizing Cash App, which is very exciting, and some of these other new and forward-thinking tools. I think we're at a place now where these options are no longer optional. They're sort of mandatory, and customers really are demanding the change in these new digital options and how we digitize payments. So I encourage everyone to talk to their customers, and I think they'll be surprised if they're not. They're using these types of options with a lot of the other lenders, and so I think they're going to be demanding that everybody kind of gets on board with these new ways to make payments.
Some interesting stuff, Dawn. Really appreciate the conversation. Thanks so much.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Dawn Fretwell is Senior Director of Sales at PayNearMe. She spoke with our own Dan Shine. That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Jamie Butters.
And I'm Jake Neer, in for Kellen Walker. Thanks to automotive news journalists Urvaksh Karkaria and Lawrence Iliff for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on finance and insurance, tariffs, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com.
Come back over the weekend for our Weekend Drive edition of the show. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.